Hello. Oof. We can continue right where I left off. I'm going to be off for a little bit for a week after this. I would like to have something semi-finished. Oh, it looks like I may have left the camera thing on. Well, I don't know what happened, but the phone was off there. So yeah, I mean, this is the list of what we need to do. But before that, let's talk about where we were at. Yeah, the phone was completely discharged, so I might need a bit of time before I can test the what I want to test. But we did manage to create a an OBS. Every time I do the wrong thing, an OBS source, and the source is not here right now. Okay, I was just checking my faces here. I'm just gonna add it here. IP camera, create new, and I'm just rendering some red. That's it, rendering some red. That's what I need to do. So that was, took a little bit of time, but we figured it out. And next we just started looking into the demo from the FFmpeg repo on how to decode some video. So I'll need to figure out if that happens on the GPU or CPU. But for now, I just want something that just works. So we'll just look at that and then see where that goes. The list that we have is, here's what we need to do: connect to the URL that is exposed by the IP camera, stream the data into that thing. And actually, inbuff is not necessarily that. Oh yeah, no, it is an inbuff. So stream the data in inbuff. So I'm going to the same way. The same way it reads in the demo, in the example, it reads from a file. I can read the same way from a TCP socket. And then set up AV codec to read the data, decode the frames, and just I may have basically two frames, one that's being kind of written to, one that's being read to. And I try to synchronize that way, maybe use a mutex or something. And then basically send that to the thing that is being rendered. I wonder if there's a way to tell OBS that like the source dimensions changed, so it rereads the width and height. But anyways, one thing I'm not sure about is if MJPEG contains headers for metadata like the width and height. So that I'm not too sure about. And then the other thing that I'm too sure about is if the way the streaming here happens, if it actually has that metadata. I'm actually going to start by asking an AI. This is a local AI. I'm not using any of the paid / advertised to AIs. And then I'll look it up just to try it out. So yeah, JPEG frame, start a frame marker. Okay. MJPEG frame dimensions. Interesting. Right, we'll see what happens. All right, so I'm going to start the server here. the IP is the same as before, and the phone is not propped up in any way, so it's just going to show some blurry stuff. But as long as I get anything else than the default stuff, we should be fine. I should also come back here now and see browser. Yeah, there you go. So I can put my fingers in there and they kind of start showing. All right, so this is how it works. Interesting, you can do stuff. Take focused, zoom, stream quality, exposure compensation. There's quite a few interesting. Oh, maybe I can put the front camera instead. It's really blurry. I think that the front camera has some dirt under the lens or something. But yeah. Ooh, motion detection area. Well, that's interesting. Anyways, I'll ignore this for now. So let's do some socket stuff to connect to it. But what I need to do first is to actually create a thread, because I won't be able to do. I'm just putting a socket FD here. I won't be able to do something without a thread, because the render. This is a library. The render function is called, and it's outside of my control. So there's no way for me to just have like a single loop thing. So I'm going to need a thread. Pthread t thread ID, something like that. And in create, I can just create it, which means I'm going to need a static void thread start. I think that's all you need, right? Unless I'm wrong. And then yeah, create, and then sure, and then before that, what I'm going to do is pthread. I don't think it's pthread create. I don't even remember. It is pthread in it. Here's create. It's weird that it knows pthread t but not the rest. Okay. Pointed to the thread, which is going to be the thread ID, is just a long attribute, start routine, and then args. Okay, so state, I'm going to need a pointer to that. Thread ID, something, which I don't remember, thread start and state. I think that's what I need. Pthread create. What I'm not sure about is this attributes, right? Pthread exit is what I should do. Attachment points to a pthread structure whose contents are used at thread creation time to determine attributes for the new thread. This structure is initialized using default attributes. Okay, I'm not going to be able to get much. Just give me like the attributes. Alright, never mind. You know that. Is that all I need to do, or do I need to do pthread start or something? I think it just starts it. And join is when you've finished and you want to wait. Okay. Which technically I could have like a because there's a destroy that I think that comes with it as well. I don't know if I use it. Yeah, destroy. and I could do join and stuff like that. But anyways, what I'm going to do here is a while true for now. And then in here, I'm going to have something like well, first I need the state. Bit slow today to start. State socket fd equals socket and init af init. Oh, I need to remember man socket sys socket okay, and then type in protocol. So type is sock stream for TCP and 0 to if protocol 0 wasn't chosen automatically, which is kind of what I wanted. And here I need to do libc check state socket fd. Libc check doesn't exist. Libc check. So I mean, you know, I should not define. Libc check x followed by a name, and that's going to be if x is smaller than 0, p error n return. In this instance, I just return. No, I'm going to return a number. That's not good. Libc check, yeah, and it's because I need socket, right? Yeah, you're supposed to return a void star. You know what, I kind of want to do this. Would that be enough? No, not really. That's kind of annoying. I guess I could just pass whatever you're supposed to return. More verbose, but that's what I need. Okay. Is that literally socket connect read? But to connect, I need to get the IP address set correctly, and for that, I'm going to need a struct in addr sock en sock addr. Fuck. So close. I know, because is it in addr sock addr un sock addr in sock addr, so I guess it's net. What do I need? Sys socket, like Unix is sys un, net init in, but I guess this would be an arpa something, right? Check something. Still dropping frame like crazy. I limited my frame rate, but I'm still dropping frames like crazy. Okay, so that seems to be the case. Now, if I remember well, I'm going to need something like port address and other things. So what's the port on this already? It's listed here, 8080. Okay, addr.s in addr.saddr equals, and this is where I need to get, there's a function that I keep forgetting that lets you just get a string with a dot notation. I think it's literally sock, something like that. It's not sock addr. Addr get dot notation to saddr. Get enaddr. It's not really that, it's another one that's even simpler. Because I don't need to resolve the domain and everything, I just know the address. If I can't find it here, I'm going to ask my AI. I know I've got a copy on my file system somewhere, I just don't remember where. How to get a IPv4 dot notation string to a saddrs in C. That's not the one. Come on, faster. Enaddr. That's literally what I needed. I think I saw it and I just didn't think that was the one. And enaddr is from ARPA init. Okay, now we're doing better. So 192.168.0.148. I think that's what I'm supposed to have. And then I'm going to need to do libc check. Okay, connect, which I think I get the state socket fd, followed by struct sock addr pointer address of addr, and then there's something else. Connect, no. So connect the length. Okay, super easy to add. Size of, I could give it addr, to be honest. That's the simplest. Okay, and then finally I'm gonna have a buffer which is going to be of a certain size. Hashtag define buffer size 26 right here. Unsigned char buffer size, and we're going to say uin32t received read state socket fd into buffer size. Okay, now read's not going to be there. Surely is it stdio read? No. So what is read? I'm learning here. Okay. UniSTD. Just don't know why some things are different. What is UniSTD? Who knows? Who knows what UniSTD is? Right, so now I can read and then I do nothing. So if received is 0, I just need to break, and I'm actually going to say printf end of server. Otherwise, we'll see what I can do with it. For now, this is what we're going to do. Make install OBS Studio, launch anyway, normal mode. Okay, so it didn't crash. I also didn't add any logs, so it's going to be difficult to figure out. And I'm going to say show startup. Okay. Now it could be connected, it could be not connected. I won't really know. It could be that the thread didn't start properly, so I'm going to say, I'm going to add some log. Printf thread start. I do need to start like the OBS logging thing, doing it properly. I might do that now because that's maybe a bit more important. So what I need is, I know that I can have this blog something. What's going on with my fans? Was OBS just... This like drop frame situation is just insane. I wonder if it's since I added that background, if that changed anything, if like just the encoding did something. No, that must be a network thing. I'm gonna remove it just for the sake of it. So blog va, I think is the thing that exists, and I'm gonna have void log and then something. So it's gonna be OBS log something, and then here I'm gonna say blog va, and this is int log level, and then const char star fmt, and then dot dot dot. Okay. Va list ap, va start fmt, va and ap. I think that's how it works. And here I just say log level fmt ap. Yeah, ap first. Okay. Va end. It's interesting because log seems to be defined somewhere. What if I just said log and I called this one this? Okay, it's because it's a math thing, which makes sense. Print log. All right, let's just do that. Log info thread starts, and I may even go as far as to I don't know if blog va automatically adds a line return. I would hope not, but basically I may want to do 2 of them, except that because it's a va, I would have to kind of call itself, which is kind of annoying. I'll actually leave it like that for now. I want to add a prefix for what I'm doing, but let's just ignore that for now. Okay. OBS launch anyway, normal mode. Thread starts. Okay. Well, I guess the next step is to have one for the received section, to say this is how much I've received. Received %d bytes followed by recvd. OBS launch normal mode -1 bytes. Okay. I feel like socket and connect is not enough. I feel like there needs to be more. TCP client C. Socket connect read. That's kind of what I have. I forgot the family in there, which is probably missing. The rest I have pretty much the same thing, right? So I think addr.sin family af init is pretty important, although this might resolve to, oh, it doesn't resolve to 0. Okay, so that could have been quite the issue. Don't remember if I actually just built it. I did. Launch anyway, run in normal mode. I'm actually not getting the logs here. I'm supposed to print stuff. So thread starts, then nothing. I feel like the log one has the line return in it, so that's why it does everything twice. I need to know if printf works, because then maybe p error causes some issues if I just don't. Well, I want to see 2 of them. This launch anyway normal mode is kind of annoying. Thread start, I only get 1, so I think that's probably what's going on there. So it's likely that I have an error, and I'm gonna, instead of p error, how do I get the error back? P error, get error back. Yeah, the problem is that I don't control is there a version of p error that returns the string to display instead of printing it? str error. Okay, and I need to give it the error num. I think I just do error no for that. Okay, so instead I'm going to do str error no name error no, and that's going to be this. And then I can say print log error and this string, which is a string, but I can do n, and the format is going to be %s. %s should be simple as, right? Okay, now if I come here and I do OBS Studio, launch normal, I may be able to get an error. I mean, thread start. Thread start. I'm getting 2 thread starts. Does that mean that like one of them is actually buffered and printf does work and p error is not showing anything? But like, if it, the only way that this while loop ends is if I break out of it, and the only break is if this returns 0, and I log right before that. So unless it hangs on connect, I'm gonna have to just mega log it. I could also have like done something stupid with libc check. If it's less than 0, print and return. Yeah, that's correct. And this is gonna say socket and this is going to say connect. So connect. So I'm connected. Am I just not receiving? Oh, you know what? It's because it needs to have a path. No. And if it needs to have a path, then it means that what I need to do is to send a HTTP request. I think that's what it is. Because when I come here, if I do advanced, and I just grab this /video, then it is HTTP. And let me just refresh that. So this doesn't end because yeah, so I'm just getting straight up the video, like as the thing that comes in. So I do need to send a HTTP request. Row, please. Now I want the row of like the request. I guess I'm not going to be able to. No, actually, this is kind of like what I need there with the host. That might be literally the only thing I need. Connection keep alive. Okay, so let's just do that then. So before we do this, we're going to do... What's going on? I'm getting like insane CPU usage. I don't know if it's CPU usage, but my if I kill this, does it go better? Oh no. Right. State socket fd request 0. I'm gonna start with that. And what this is going to be like kind of a const thing, because the path is going to be yeah, so it's going to be kind of const. So const char pointer request equals this line return. I think I need to R. I need an R and an N here, and R and an N. Host, I have to change that for now, but and I need to just finish it with R N, an empty one. And this is going to be as simple as size of request. Now the problem is if I do this, if I do this, I might not have a problem. Value 50. Interesting, because I think if I do this, value 8, yeah, so that's what I thought, and it warns me as well. So I send it, and then whatever, right? And I'm receiving a bunch of bytes. And it stops at some point. I don't know if it stops or if it's just the logging. I wonder if I could print. I don't know. So maybe I don't know where the CPU is going to go. It's like if I'm doing a read in a loop, I don't know if read is like a great thing, or if I need to set up an ePort for that, which I may do anyways, so I can communicate between the thread in a easier way. Okay, so we've got something now. I do kind of want to just peek into it. Percent point star s, and I'm just gonna look at maybe like the first 32 bytes of the buffer. Now it's not stopping now. Okay, great. At least now it's working. But I saw some stuff that was saying JPEG, and I wonder if right at the top I'm gonna get some response headers. Yeah. So received 292, and I'm not printing the whole thing. And then I'm receiving a bunch of stuff with content, and then so I may need to yeah, I'm seeing here content length, content dash length, 25 bytes, content dash length. These may be like HTTP frames, because I'm getting this, and then I get content length. So unless I need to do something, so it's still coming. I probably need to stop it. Just to make debugging more easily, I may do something where I have it start and end when it gets hidden and unhidden. Activate, called when a source has been activated in the main view. Deactivate, no longer being played. So it may be activate and deactivate, but I remember seeing a hide. Call when the source is no longer visible. I'm gonna try activate. Because if activate also starts automatically, then that's great. Static void activates. Probably gonna get a source and some data, which is gonna be a struct state start state data. Is that really what I need here? Literally just that. Okay, so I was lucky in guessing the, and I'm just gonna have a deactivate. Okay, I am gonna stop printing this. It's a bit too much, and I'm just gonna do print log info activate. And my hope is that when I launch the program, I see activate because it was there already, and then I see it with the hide and so activate, and I'm not getting a deactivate. I'm only getting an activate. You know why? It's because what am I doing? It's because I didn't map deactivate. OBS, launch, normal, activate, deactivate, activate, deactivate. So if it's activated and I quit and then I run it, I get an activate. So what I'm going to do is, instead of putting this stuff in create, what I'm going to do is have a static void connect to server with a struct state pointer and a disconnect from server. Right, that's the idea. Now this one, when it starts, super easy. Close state socket fd. And then this one is going to be actually the connect and disconnect. I may need to like start the thread and end the thread, but I think when I do close like this, it might automatically go out of the loop. I need to figure out that. And connect to server is this, right? So this is this that I need to delete from here, and paste it here. And actually, no, even better than that. Connect to server is the this one, pthread create. Okay, so thread start's gonna have to be ooh, wait, I deleted too much there. Here, there you go. I just need to move this into connect to server, and connect to server is going to be super simple in that you just need to create the thing, thread start, paste it there. Okay, so something down. I'm going to do pthread join state thread ID, sure. Thread return. Oh, because it just I hope that works. It would give me the return value of the thread. The only thing is that I don't know how to interrupt this. I may have to set up an epoll, but I may ask an AI and say if I have a socket in C that I use to connect to a web server and have a while one loop that reads from it, when I manually close the socket from another thread, will I receive a 0 from the read that is waiting? Probably not. Okay, to be honest, like, I don't know why I'm doing this. We could just try it, but this is probably going to break then, and break is going to do that, and then pthread join is going to, but it doesn't really need to do pthread join in there if this is going to I could do a pthread exit there, but you don't really need to do that because this is going to return anyways. So I've got that set up. I need to figure out like an MJPEG over HTTP. I'm getting these like content length things, and I don't know if the content length is actually part of the frame of MJPEG, or if it is part of the HTTP, and I need to remove those and restitch it into one continuous stream. So MJPEG over HTTP. It was to get request from a file stream. The server streams a sequence of MJPEG frames over HTTP. A special MIME type content type multipart X mix replace boundary name informs the client to expect several parts frame as an answer delimited by boundary name. This boundary name is expressed disclosed within the MIME type declaration itself. Okay. This is interesting. This is going to take me longer than I expected. I'm already a bit too far in there. Let's see. So now, if I look at the network, I should have a response headers, multipart X mix replace boundary, and I've got these things. So I guess this is where I would need to scan for this, and when I find it, it would be like the end of a frame. It's more than a bad game form, but I actually like it. There's always a starting boundary before the first MIME entity, as MIME can contain prologue data before the first entity. You are thinking that MIME boundaries exist only after each MIME entry, but that does not. So I get boundary there, mobotics fax server push. Then I get dash dash this, content type, JPEG bytes. Then the start, then content type, then JPEG byte. So it looks like I should look for the boundary, and every time I see it, I then read headers and then when I find the double \r\n, then it's JPEG bytes until this one. But I wonder if this is something that is specific to that, and I don't know if AV codec is going to handle that necessarily well. But let's start to look at that. So I may need something like enum server state. I want to say client state, and you're going to have state connecting, state connected, state so one is going to need to parse the headers. So I want one state which is like, I know the boundary, right? And then, because I don't exactly know if I'm gonna get, I should be getting the boundary right at the beginning. So whatever happens, I should be getting the thing. But if I already have the boundary, I want a different state. So what I want is state connected state so I'm gonna receive some bytes, and at the beginning I should assume that they are a header, so I should be in a, you know, seeking boundary. Like connected is gonna look for the headers, then I'm gonna look for the boundary, then I'm gonna say awaiting boundary, then I'm going to be awaiting headers. So I'm actually going to get awaiting headers, and then state awaiting data. The header is going to contain the length, so I don't really need to worry too much about that. But here I should now have a enum client state. That's going to be state. It's going to be funny. So now this is where things get a bit more tricky here. So if state is state, it has to be connected, right? So connected. So if it's connected, then I'm reading, I am supposed to be reading, let me think, connected. I'm reading the headers, and this is where I need to find the boundary. So from there, I basically need to iterate through all of the lines. So I think I can use strtok, which the delimiter is a thing, so I can do this, and the string would be buffer. Now the problem with buffer is that buffer is not a zero terminated string. And I don't think there's such a thing as a strntok. And I want to use the reentrant one because I'm going to need to double strtok it. So I may just ignore that for now. I'm going to use the R one, and I'm going to have two things. Here I'm going to need a char star star, so a char star safe pointer. So char star line state, char star kv state. And to be honest, do I really need that state one? Probably not. I do need that one though. Line state. I'm gonna use the kv one because I don't want the strtok to get confused. Okay, strtok, and this is gonna be the first token, which is gonna be char star EOL Okay, now EOL points to the string that I'm at, but that's the same thing with strtok. The problem with strtok is that I can't really tell it end there. I'm gonna have to do a strdupe or strndupe, or don't even exist. strndupe. Yeah. All right. Let's make it dirty for now, and just we'll sort it out after. Char star line. Line equals strndupe buffer. And I guess I'm gonna want to do EOL minus buffer for the length, and that's it. Is that all I need? Let me just remove this, confuse stuff a little bit less. Okay, so this actually work? Okay, so that's the line, and then I need to do a while true for now. I'll just sort it out later. Then I kind of want to do, unfortunately I have to do this every time, because I need to redo the strtok. Although actually maybe not, because what I could do is move this to null and actually do this at the end, and then set the line at there. But importantly, I need to do char cursor, right? Because I kind of want to know the previous line and stuff like that. So what I need here is to say cursor equals EOL, and then that way I can continuously do cursor equals buffer, and I can continuously do strtok this minus cursor minus cursor. I might need to do a +2 because I think that well, actually I think that EOL gives you the first character for after. It's not going to tell me here. Okay, let's do that. What that means is here at any given point I should be able to do a print log info line s and line, because it's a str. And also right before I do this I should do free line, and at the end I should do free line, and actually here I can do line at 2 is different from /0. Now I expect my line to potentially have, you know what, I'm going to expect my line at 0 to be not that, because the idea is that if I do strndupe EOL cursor and EOL strtok breaks the strings, the first call, the string to be parsed should be specified in string. The delim argument, the strtok function is a pointers to the next token, so it actually points to the rn. So that means that when I do cursor I should do +2 because that's the length of my delimiter. And what that means is when I do a strndupe here, where I probably need to not do cursor here, I need to do cursor actually instead of that. Okay, when I do this, I basically okay, first I'm gonna get this. EOL is gonna be right before this. Actually, is gonna point to exactly that R there. So when I do the difference between them two, it's gonna give me the line without the R. Okay, and that means that if it turns out that I've got two, well, actually it doesn't matter because this one is gonna be empty. Like if the line is actually empty, then I get nothing. But the first one is going to be something. So the first one is going to be something. I'm going to print it, and I'm going to say EOL is +2. That's my new cursor, which goes right at the first character of the next line. Now do a strtok of this, and if EOL ends up being the same as cursor, this is going to be 0, which means it's going to make me a new line with nothing inside, but the size is going to be 1 because I need to store the end, and then this is going to hit it. So that should be all I need. And then finally, just to make it clearer, I'm going to do state equals, just so that I can, if it goes into like a crazy loop, I can just stop it. All right, it's going to be interesting to play with. I think I never set it to connected, which will be a problem. State equals state equals state connected. Launch normal. Not getting much, but like here in theory, if I do this, it should stop it and then reconnect to it. I don't have logs of like the server, so it's a bit difficult to figure it out. Unless I didn't like set it into activate, but I'm pretty sure I did. Like I'm printing activate. But in activate I never say connect to server state. And here disconnect from server state. Leave these two in the right place. Activate thread start socket connect, and then nothing. Deactivate, which should disconnect, and activate, which should start the thread. But it's possible that like the thread never finished because I never received the 0. Connect to server pthread create. Thread start socket connect. Set is connected. I'm going to re-enable this nightmare of a log. I am not going to print the buffer, just for my eyes. Okay. So I'm receiving a bunch of stuff. It stops receiving after a while. Okay, so I am receiving. And I guess it doesn't think my state is connected. I mean it is connected. I am giving it the same reentrant stuff. Should I print the first line? Try that, because unless like line and there's nothing, so maybe the line is actually empty, which would be surprising because that's not what I'm expecting. Maybe strtok is like kind of wrong. I'm gonna put cursor here just for simplicity's sake, but I know it's not the same. What about EOL minus cursor? It is kind of long to test. 0. Okay. So man strtok. null if there are no more tokens. So it looks like it's saying that \r\n is the first character, is the first of this. It's not exactly what I was expecting, because when I go here, I am receiving some response headers, and I'm supposed to be getting an HTTP OK. Maybe that's what I do. Maybe what I do is I print just the beginning of the buffer. So again, I'm going to go 64 and buffer, because that should actually have the first line of the HTTP response. Yeah, so HTTP, no, okay. So when I do str TOK reentrant, maybe line state is a problem. I want to see the reentrant version. Safe pointer becomes a pointer to a char star variable that is used internally by str node to comment in the context between successive calls that parse the same string. On the first call, str should point to the string to be parsed, and the value of self pointer is ignored. In subsequent call, str should be null, and safe pointer and the buffer it points to it should be unchanged in the previous call. Yeah, that's kind of like what I do, right? Null, line state is there. Just to be safe, I could just say null, right? And then maybe str ndupe is a problem. I mean, EOL and casa. EOL should be bigger than casa. Let's try that again. So this is correct there, and I don't seem to see a \r\n in there. So I am wondering why str TOK reentrant decided that the first matched. Cursor is pointed to buffer. Cursor is buffer. Line str TOK reentrant str ndupe. Maybe it's str ndupe, but not really, because when I did EOL minus cursor, it did return that they were the same. Like I got a 0, so it was the same. What if I just said, just give me this one as like a stupid thing to do? It still said it's 0. Let's see. strtok returns the same pointer as the input. I also realized that strtok, I think, modifies the string. Unless I'm wrong, but I think it modifies. Results in PCH being a pointer into local array TCPY or null if the original string did not contain either equal or, because TCP is a local array. Ooh, I wonder if that does an or. Maybe that's the problem. Because that guy said or, but that doesn't sound correct. strk is the odd one because that's one that I use all the time, and yet, yeah, it's just a set of bytes that delimit the tokens in the parse string. The column may specify different strings and delimit in successive calls that parse the same string. Yeah, so I can just like change it as I go. Oh, I guess that's what I could do to just not have to do reentrant and just skip the line. I guess you just, it doesn't. What's the thing that I did the other day that it did modify the string? Okay, let me just start by simplifying it, because I realized that if I can change the thing that I'm doing, one, I might not need to do. If I can change the delimiter as I scan the string, I might not need to. To do a reentrant, because I can use the exact same one. I'm scanning the same string, right? So let's try without the reentrant version to see if that was kind of causing some issue. Not really, that's the exact same result. What if I looked for 1.1? Because I know that one exists in there. Line HTTP / Wait, it was working. Because it modified the line. Yeah, so it does modify though. So that's going to be annoying, because it's going to set all of those to 0, but I guess I don't really need. I can be destructive for those, I don't really care. So let's do line and see if we can print that. I don't understand why it doesn't go in the loop and just does a bunch. So now line is nothing. So maybe it's now str and dupe that's causing issues. So I think I'm just gonna say stop using line, just use cursor. Okay, and then line is going to be equal to cursor. Actually, I don't need line anymore, right? So I can just say cursor. Right. Crashed. Cursor is buffer. I do an EOL. I try to print cursor. Oh, line is not set and I'm printing it right there. So I can just delete this one. And I don't need to free anything anymore. Probably need to build it before I just go and test something. Launch, run, crash. Alright, so that's probably something else. Now, because I move this like this, it might not be the best idea. Let me think about that. I get an EOL, which goes to the next line. I'm changing the cursor. So I should probably say buffer, in case it takes an internal thing in there. So I start with buffer, I just do null, 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 null. And then I do move the cursor, saying first is just the cursor, but this should have replaced the stuff. And then I do EOL +2, which is where the next one is. See if that does anything. Those crashes are going to be annoying, because if I can't get the logs, I'm gonna have to basically find I'm gonna say OBS Studio, launch anyway, run normal mode, and then OBS Studio, launch anyway, safe mode, and then I'm gonna have to do log files, show log files. That's not gonna work because it's not gonna tell me where they are. and it can't tell me where it is. OBS Studio log location. I don't want to see it like log files. Okay, yeah, but it's not telling me. It's not telling me because it's probably trying to. It's probably trying to. It's trying to open something. Like OBS is trying to. Yeah, there you go. It's trying to open something, and if I do this and say show log files, it's probably trying to open some kind of file manager that I don't have. I wish you could have just said copy the path to the log file instead of that. Maybe I can find it here. No, not really, because this window is great, but like if the program crashes, I can't see it. Oh, open file, but open file is going to do the same thing, right? Open file is going to say it's not working. Could I open OBS from here, and then maybe the logs? Oh, these are great. This is actually just working. I am eating 2 characters. Wow, it really modifies the string then, because that means that yeah, this is what I'm looking for. Boundary, boink. Okay, anyways, it crashes sec fault. Great. The thing is, I want to have access to those logs, so either I just start it from the terminal, maybe I just do that, or I just find where it writes its log. I'll start it from the terminal. Okay, so it worked. One thing that I'm not sure I understand, right? The value returned by strtok is the pointer to the delimiter. That's what the doc said. But now I'm starting to wonder if it's not the pointer to the current. Like if you run it once, then it starts where you are. Then you run it a second time and you're at the next token and the next token. That way you don't need to do anything, it just does it for you. And me, by moving the stuff, it doesn't work. But it's there, right? Return a pointer to the next token or north is the more token, but like next token, I guess. Okay, so that would make sense. Okay, let me think. If I remove this, and then I remove this as well, and then I just say this one is actually going to be token, and I say token and token. Now I should get my lines. Okay, let's try that. And OBS. Launch anyway, normal mode. Not crashing. It crashes out at some point, but it might be just, yeah, don't exactly know what it is. But now my lines are correct. So this is what I'm receiving from the server. Now at that point, I want to know if I'm actually exiting this. Right, let's try that. Just to make sure that I'm detecting the end properly, because that could be my problem. Yeah, in theory that's what should happen. Launch normal. It's not exiting, so I think it's trying to read something that it shouldn't read. It's quite likely that it found the end of the string. The server may be flushing not at a fixed buffer size, but more, I've sent the headers flush, which means that I might not be getting something like this. So I think it's going to be here. Token is different from null, and the thing is not empty. So we'll try that, see where that takes us. Okay, and now I'm just getting all of these. You see, every time I receive 25, I think 25 is literally a piece of header that says you're about to receive this. It's a header when it's smaller. Okay, so Right, so I'm passing the headers. Now, the first line, I'm going to say bool, well actually, I'm doing better than that. Once I have a line, what I would like to do is strtok on colon, right? Maybe even colon space, because I imagine that the headers always have a space there, although I could be wrong. But let's start like this, and then now the token is going to be, I'm going to have to do some like if tokens, this, that, but this token here is the key, and after that the token is the value. Let's try that. Let's see if that even makes sense what I just said. Key and value. So I may need to do, because the documentation does state that you can change the delimiter. The caller may specify different strings in dilim in successive calls that parse the same string. Each call to strtok returns a pointer to an alternative string containing the next token. And to me, the next token was like a conflated token and delimiter, but it contains the next token. But if I'm starting like the current token is the full line, that may be what my problem is, because if I start, so I may need to use the reentrant one. But if I start and say, get this token, and the token is the entire line, and then I say, get me the one with a colon, it's going to jump to the next line. It's not going to just like split the current line. So let's go back to line state and KV state. Let's keep it like that for now. And this is going to be a reentrant version, which get the line state with a pointer. And every time I move lines, I should use end line state with the reentrant version. So that's what I should do. And I'm going to move that here. Now, what that means is when I do strtok here, I should say token. The problem here is that I'm overriding token, so I may want to use a different thing, which actually I can rename this to line and have another one token. And then this is legitimately going to be token, because token can either be one or the other. And because it's actually I don't know with strtok how you do if I get this semicolon and a space and I call it with line, not null, I'm going to get everything up to the semicolon space. So technically it's going to be the key. If I call it again, then maybe this is where I provide the line return. But the problem with the line return is that it's not gonna point to, if it doesn't find the delimiter, I'm gonna get null. Correct? Or null if there are no more tokens. But no more tokens, does that mean that, yeah, I think they make it convenient. So I think if I do, instead of doing token, I can do key char star value, and then this is going to be key, and then I call it again with this one. It doesn't matter, I just want to go to the end of the line, and this is going to be value, right? If I do this and I print key followed by value, it should work, with the exception that the first line is expected to be HTTP in which case I do want to do if line, and I'm going to do str ncmp line HTTP 4, and if it's not 0, then I should probably just break and just say print log error missing HTTP header thingy, right? I'll understand what that means. This is just like a little plaything. So right, and then what I can do then is copy this, paste it there, and just manually move to the next line with the null. And what that is going to do is it will let me skip that first line and jump to the second one, which is where the headers should be. And the problem is, because I am printing tons. All right, let's see. Okay, well, that looks pretty good. Key connection value close, line server, and then IP. So it doesn't go all the way to IP webcam blah 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 blah. Then I get this line cache control value no store followed by a comma. I'm starting to think that the delim string is a series of like characters that are valid, like any of those that you find, because it just when I use the there's the space there, and for some reason it breaks on space. It is something that the documentation seemed to allude to, but it's not very clear. Specifies a set of bytes that delimit the tokens in the parse string. So set of bytes, what does it mean? Does it mean that it's a sequence that you need to find, and that sequence of byte is checked against? Or does it mean that it is a set, as it is listed there, and either of them would make the thing stop at the delimiter? The delimiting byte, yeah. So how do I do that? Because obviously if I do R and N, that's going to be a problem. So let's see. strtok, whoop, strtok delimiter with more than one byte. Because it accepts a string, you know, it's kind of, that's not really what I'm looking for. Delimiter of 2 characters. By not using strtok, which cannot be used to tokenize a string with 1 character delimiter, and is ill-advised anyway because of its many pitfalls. Okay, right. Instead, is a find delimiter you find. So str is interesting. I don't want haystack needle. Finds the first occurrence of the substring needle in the string haystack. The terminating null byte are not compared. Is there an N version of that so that I can stop it if it goes beyond my buffer? This function returns a pointer to the beginning of the located substring or null if the substring is not found. Do I want to rewrite this using this? I think it would make sense, because strtok is frustrating me. It's also modifying the string that's underneath. But can I stop? Like, do I really need to basically say read the buffer size -1 and put a non-dominated character at the end? I may have to. Okay, let's do that then. It's been annoying, but I'll just have my own state. Right, so let's say start deleting everything. So now I can input everything in my loop, which is going to be, I'm going to start with a char star cursor, which is going to be my buffer. And then now I can do while cursor, and I'm just going to do that, to be honest. And then now what I can do is key end. I'll tidy it up. Key end equals str of the what is it first? The haystack. So cursor followed by colon and space. Just do that. So that's the key end. Now I can do. I don't need the line. I can say key equals. It's going to be a bit odd, but cursor value equals cursor plus 2, and here I can say char star EOL equals str value \r\n. Now key is going to be point star and point star here as well. Now key is going to be cursor. They're both going to write cursor, but actually key is going to be, yeah, that's because that's the cursor. It's just the way it is. And the length is going to be key end. So this is where I need to not do cursor. Key end. The length is key end minus cursor, and this one is going to be not cursor but key end, no, value simply, which also means I just need to do key here. I don't know why I'm just, and this is going to be EOL minus value, and this can be key. I want to know the end. And then finally I want to do cursor equals EOL plus 2, because this is supposed to be 2 characters. And then so the idea is I do this, right, but the problem is str at some point is going to have to stop, and I may need to do something like I enter here and I've got a specific cursor position, and when I do EOL, so if I say if EOL is equal to cursor break, and cursor, I'm going to say true here. So that means that, like, I started a string and the first thing that I find is that haystack, that these 2 characters, then I should immediately bail out. All right, that is a bit of a rewrite, and it was so much faster than trying to do str TOK stuff. Normal mode, and I stop it early, it's fine. But that looks a bit better. So the problem that I have obviously is that I'm not skipping the first one, in which case I also get LAN region connection close. Server IP cache control, yes. Pragma no cache expires -1. Access control this. Content type multipart and core dump. All right, so it's working. The only thing I need to do is right at the beginning I could do an if there, but in reality I may want to do this once and just call this one cursor equals this one with the line return, or n plus 2, right? And obviously it's going to return the wrong thing if it's not there, but I have to handle this. Here I'm going to do a very quick str and cmp, which I literally had before. Cursor HTTP for if it's different from 0. My fingers have warmed up, so seems to be going a bit faster. Error, wrong HTTP resp header and break. I should still have my, yeah. So now I've got connection, close, server, IP, cache control, journal, and I'm looking for content type that I can do something with content type. And in reality, what I should do is read the header. I may even do like an str and CMP, so I can read only n characters. But I think it's better if I just get key value and just compare the key and the value. See what I can do. So now that I've got that, I have that, and then I need to look for the boundary in the raw data that I get, and that's going to give me frames. Okay. And I wonder if this like mjpeg literally just gives me a JPEG that I can then decode with just STB image rather than using FFmpeg, because I imagine that mjpeg over HTTP is different from mjpeg in a container. All right, so what I would do is, like, when I get the data, I would read the first few bytes in hex and then try to read the spec for JPEG and see if there's a magic. And if there's a magic at the beginning that matches, then I can skip FFmpeg or AV codec and just go straight to what I need. We're getting closer to my stop point, so I want to go through that. So I think basically I'm not breaking at the right time, and I'm supposed to get 2 line returns, and the way I stop is by doing this. The problem is that this may cause an issue because I'm doing an str on this, but the reality is I could do the end of line at the beginning. I don't need to do that. It will be a bit less efficient because I'm redoing cursor, but that shouldn't be an issue. It's possible that when I do that and it doesn't find the value, or actually it's what it is, it's not finding that, and I don't have a null terminator, so it just goes on forever. So it's very possible that this was the issue. Normal. Okay, that's literally what it was. So now I'm receiving bytes, and every so often I'm receiving something that's a bit different. So, okay, state is going to be now state awaiting boundaries. I think I should be awaiting boundary now. Else if state is state awaiting boundary, I'm going to print the stuff. So at that point, this is where I'm just going to move this and paste it there. But right before that, I'm going to do if strcmp. I'm going to have to do ncmp, unfortunately. Key content type with key and minus key is 0. Then I need to parse the value to find the boundary. So in this case, I'm just going to do a very simple print log boundary. I'm just going to delete this, paste it there, delete this, and delete this. And I'm going to rename this to boundary, or content type is, right, just so that I can have the actual boundary. So here, received in a byte, I'm going to do .*s buffer, and I'm going to read 128 bytes this time. I'm going to go a bit bigger. OBS, launch, normal mode, stop. So I'm receiving these content length with something, which is great, but I was also promised a content type is, oh, I'm getting exited there. Oh, I guess because I finished. A boundary of BA is this, right? Ah, look at what I receive. This is what I'm getting. I don't know why I'm getting M server. Oh, it's because it doesn't clean the buffer, so I'm printing more than I should have. But yeah, so I'm getting this with a double dash, and I don't think I'm getting it again. I'm not seeing it again. And I'm actually getting like a line return there, but when I get received, I also get another content type, but I'm not getting the double line return after content type. I'm going to do this in the str. So I'm going to do, okay, and that's the content type. I'm going to do str of value, and I'm looking for boundary equals, and that's going to be char star boundary equals this, right? And then I'm going to go and say str ndup into state boundary. I want boundary and how many? Actually, I want boundary plus strlen of boundary equals, which I'll do something about later. And actually, I'm just doing the wrong thing here because I'm not giving it this. I'm putting it right there. Equal, and that's where do I start and how many? How many is going to be EOL minus boundary plus strlen. This is really terrible code. Okay, boundary doesn't exist there. I can do something about it, and I can actually just say boundary is this. Now I'm actually tempted to add a to do something. I don't think I can do that really. Let me check. Boundary is, and I can just do state boundary. Because the thing is, I know that I'm going to need the one with the double dash. So why don't I store that? Instead, I'm going to have to say, oh, does it start with double dash? Yes, then check the boundary. But at least that means I only have to check 2 characters. Okay, that's not that bad. So here, char star boundary. Okay. So now I'm storing the boundary. And I can do if strcmp with an n, cmp buffer double dash 2 is 0, then check the boundary, which is going to be strcmp strncmp buffer plus 2, right, followed by state boundary, and how many characters? strlen of state boundary. Now if this is 0, then I found the boundary, right? So I should be saying print log found. I'm just going to say found log info. Okay, and I'm gonna just put that in here, and I may reduce it to let's say if received is smaller than 128, received otherwise 128. I forgot the question mark. Okay, doing a lot of blind stuff. It's just that it takes so long to just run this that I kind of want to. Okay, boundary is correct, and I save it, and I got a bunch of line returns there. I got exited, so it's maybe boundary has stored the double line return at the end, which is not good. Let me see. When I store it, it's EOL minus boundary plus boundary equal. So I'm moving strlen. So I'm moving to the end, and I'm saying how much should you make EOL, which has been found to be this. Okay. So it's possible that it does have that double line, which is kind of annoying. Received. This is what I've received. But that seems a little bit incorrect, because I've got bytes. Oh, because I'm still printing bytes and there's a line return at the end. But it does start with that, except that it's not matching the boundary, because it looks like my boundary has 2 line returns. One to go here, one to go here. But oddly enough, it should have another one if unless I'm printing. No, I'm not printing something here. And this shouldn't say bytes anymore. That makes it easier. So I'm doing strndup. I don't know, what's the length of... I kind of want to basically say, just to make it simpler, boundary key plus strlen of boundary equal, assuming that strlen plus a fixed string is optimized by the compiler. I won't obsess over that, and I may just put the rest as a macro at some point. Okay, so this is where I'm supposed to store the boundary and EOL minus boundary value. So printf %d EOL minus boundary value. Sure. Launch, run, stop. I may have stopped too soon. Launch, run, stop. Boundary is, oh, well, so it seems to have maybe fixed it, because now it's actually the right thing. I'm not printing found, so this is a bit odd. There's a line return, so maybe it starts with a line return, then I'm getting this. Because if I'm doing received and I'm printing it, then this seems to contain a line return. So maybe I should, let's try to see if I do here, n, I'm going to compare 4, and I'm going to say +4. Launch, normal. Found. Okay, so that's literally what I needed. So now that I've found it, I'm receive content type. I think what I should assume is that while I do this, like, it's possible that I finish the buffer before I finish reading those, which is correct there. Although here I am getting a double /r/n, and then I'm receive content length /r/n plus another one, and then I start getting some binary data. HTTP MJPEG. A tool allowed us to take video buffers using v4l2 and stream them over HTTP in motion JPEG spec. Where is the specification? There is an official standard. An MJPEG is just a condensed JPEG file, one after the other. Okay, so maybe that first, this Wikipedia one. Separates each image to HTTP replies on a specified marker. Okay, great. So this is what I need to read. Can be received by client QuickTime or VLC. In response to a GET request, an MJPEG file stream, the server streams the sequence. Special MIME time with a boundary informs the client to expect several parts as an answer limited by boundary name. This boundary name is expressly disclosed within the MIME type declaration itself. Yep. The TCP connection is not closed as long as the client wants to receive new frames and the server wants to provide new frames. Yep. Two basic implementation of MJPEG streaming server are Cambozola and MJPEG Streamer. The more robust FM server also provide. Okay, I don't care. Native web browsers. Okay, I don't care. What about what's inside those frames? Unless what you're saying is that each of those is a HTTP response. The server streams the sequence of JPEG frames over HTTP. A special content type informs the client to expect several parts frames as an answer delimited by boundary name. This boundary name is expressly disclosed within the MIME type. Okay, that does not necessarily give me all the answers. I dumped some of them, yep. That's what I had, partial header. So yeah, boundary. Okay, CRLF. Partial header offer, actual frame. But I did get double partial header in my case. Sometime here there's an optional CRLF, yep. Boundary starting again, a partial header. It is very accurate in practice. So I think the accurate was probably more a dig at like the fact that there's no spec rather than the accuracy of having a boundary delimiter. The first frame of a container, yes it does. There's always a starting boundary before the first MIME entity, as MIME can contain a prologue data before the first entry. You are thinking that MIME boundaries exist only after each MIME entity, but that's simply not true. So you should read the MIME specification. Okay, so that's like a MIME entry. Actual frame data CRLF. Sometimes here there's a boundary. Oh, it's just not reading the right thing. Actually, the last CRLF is not optional. It's actually part of the next boundary that follows a MIME's entity data. So yeah, the CRLF is the beginning of the boundary, which MIME boundary must appear on their own line. Yes, is artificially inserted after the entity data, which is especially important for data types. Yeah, so I should assume that like, yeah, it's going to be the beginning rather than the end. It just sorts out the thing in a better way. That's how MIME is supposed to work. Okay, so I think I just need to respect for MIME. Boundary specified in content type header is always prefixed with dash in the actual entity stream. Okay, and the terminating boundary after the last entity is suffixed by dash as well. Oh, so there is a terminating boundary. I guess it's when it's finished. What do you think will not work as an example? So you think when processing mixed replace, what you're supposed to do is read and discard the HTTP response body until you reach the first MIME boundary specified by the content type, yes. Then read a MIME's entity's header and data until you reach the next matching MIME boundary. Then process the entity's data as needed according to its headers, for instance, displaying the image. Okay. If the connection doesn't be okay, so it's possible that MIME, it's possible that the header uses the same format as HTTP. Yeah, that's pretty much the case. So I need to decode MIME, which is going to be content type and probably some kind of length. And look at that boundary, frontier, it's all in there. That's the spec. So it wasn't like the MJPEG, it was just the MIME frames, right? So frontier, message with multiple parts, yeah, okay. Then you get the frontier that says content type, body of the message, then frontier. Yeah. Now what I'm seeing is like a little bit different. Not really, but frontier, content type, then this says that's kind of at the end, because I got one line return, a second one, then that's kind of like the end of my buffer. When do I print found? As if it starts by it, I just print found, but I print that after I've printed it. And I limit by received. So realistically, it should be the case. What I'm going to do actually here is I'm going to say state equals state awaiting headers. So I'm only going to come here once, and that way I can do a full print instead of just a partial one. That way I'll make sure that I'm not doing something wrong. Okay. So here I'm printing found. Yeah, so this is like the full size, and it's just saying image JPEG. Yeah, I could be dumb and just assume that everything is an image JPEG. So that's fine. Okay. You know what? I'm just going to go back to what I was doing, because I do want more data. Because the problem that I have is, what am I going to get after that? And here, and even like in the loop, I can look at it, right? In the loop, I'm not seeing the frontier, but it's because the frontier could be much further down in one of those, right? So if I look at this and I see image JPEG, then this is what I receive. But oddly enough, I'm getting 2 line returns before the data, and that's the data after that. That's the data. And imagine that somewhere in there, maybe at the end of that line, I'm getting the frontier, in which case I'm getting content length. Do I get another content type again? I don't think I do. So either content type is within the rest of that garbage, or there's only one content type sent, which is kind of the header of the thing, which is this. And then the content length one is just the beginning of it. But this changes the content type. Each part consists of its own content header, 0 or more content dash header fields, and a body. Multipart content can be nested. The content transfer encoding of a multipart type must always be 7-bit, 8-bit, or binary to avoid the complication that would pose. Before the first boundary is an area that is ignored by MIME complaint client. This area is generally used to put a message to user of old non-MIME client. It's up to the sending MIME client to choose a boundary string that doesn't clash with the body text. Typically, this is done by inserting a long random string. The last boundary must have 2 hyphens at the end. The MIME standard defines various multiple message subtypes, which specify the nature of the message part and their relationship to one another. The subtype is specified in the content type header field of the overall message. For example, a multiple MIME message using the digest subtype would have its content type set as multiple digest. The RFC initially said, okay, so this is where I have mixed. Multiple mix is used for sending files with different content type headers. Okay, what do I get? I don't think I get mixed. Kind of want to print the line. Header %star s, and I want cursor followed by UL minus cursor, and actually, yeah, it's in the right order. Launch, run. Oh, I get segfault there. That's odd because that should kind of work. No, I keep thinking the wrong way. The numbers first, and the sizes first. Okay. I'm just look at headers so I can look at the spec. Multipart X mixed replace is really what I'm looking for there. The content type X mixed replace was developed as a part technology to emulate server push and stream over HTTP. All parts of X mixed replace have the same semantic meaning. However, each part invalidate replaces the previous part as soon as received completely. Okay, so that's streaming. Clients should process the individual parts as soon as they arrive and should not wait for the whole message to finish. Okay. The original video of Netscape support still supported by Mozilla Firefox and Opera. It's commonly used in IP cameras, yes, as the MIME type for MJPEG streams. It was supported by Chrome for main resources until 2013. Okay. One thing that I'm not seeing in here is that multiple messages, right? I have a boundary, and it seems like maybe I still have something, like my frontier is here, but then I get I need to talk with something to illustrate what I'm talking about. This is the frontier. I find it. There's a line return there. I should assume everything underneath is the contents of the frame, right? Or like the payload or whatever you want to call it. Now I detect it because I say it's found, which is great. And inside it, like inside at that point, there is a CRLF. Ooh, that is a single CRLF, isn't it? So that might be just fine, actually. Is it a single CRLF? Is it a single CRLF? Let me think. It's doubled because my print stuff almost always adds one. Okay, so it's a single one. So I should be reading the... Okay, so this is correct. Okay, great. So now I can say awaiting headers. Perfect. But in awaiting headers, I should also parse the first header that's coming in because, I mean, that is in the current buffer. So what I should do is either have a cursor to my buffer so that I could just leave the headers there, copy the leftover, put it in the main buffer, and then say, like, let it loop on the next read. But I don't want to do that. I need to process. I need to process the rest of the string first to read the thing. Okay, that's great. So I'm going to do something very similar to what this loop does, and it should be easier this time. Yeah, I'm going to do, because I need a state, I can't make a function for it. Okay. I'm going to make a function for it. I want to static void read header. I'm gonna get a const char buffer, and then I'm gonna get back a char star star key char star star value, and I just need a size t on what in32t key length, in32t value length. Okay, so this is kind of what I want, buffer, and then I do want a char star star state, or like yeah, state, state. So I think I can basically simulate all of this by just doing, I need to skip those, that's fine, and this is what I want there. Yank that and paste it here and just update the values. Right, so while true, I do something. String on cursor. Oop, I did something wrong there. First, I'm going to need, well actually, state is going to be my cursor. So I'm going to have to do in, I'm going to call it cursor then. Okay. And then I can do this, right? I may want to do, actually that's not a while true that I want to do actually. What I want to do is a single thing, okay? So break doesn't work, so if this is this, I'd say return null, false, and this is going to be Boolean. That's just going to tell me whether or not I found something. Then in the cursor still I do this. Value, so this is where it's interesting because key needs to be cursor. Cursor is already a pointer, so I should probably do this and this just to be safe. And this is just key end, no, I'm just setting the value, key end to this. I'm going to delete this. Okay, and then this is just fluff, with the last thing missing being point to the cursor. Oop. Return true, and key length equals key end minus cursor, just a key, and EOL. It's going to be value. Let me think. Value length. Oh yeah, because I didn't put it as a star there. Okay. Let's try that, and I'm going to do it in parallel of the original thing. So it's here. I'm going to say while read header. I think it's read header. Okay. And on subsequent, that's why I'm interested, because cursor is there. So what I need to do here is if buffer is not null, then I need to set cursor to buffer. I might just, okay, right, so that's a better way of doing it. So while read header, so I guess what I could do is the first time you do it, I should just return, because you're just initializing it. So I'm going to say true, and then I'm not setting any of the values, so you initialize it once. So you say read header with here is going to be cursor, and after that at the end I'm going to get header state. Okay, but actually this is going to give me key and key length and value length, right? And then obviously what that means is I need key value, but I'm also going to have a uint32t key length and a uint32t value length. Okay, and header state is going to be a address to a char star header state. And now I can literally replicate that by just you know what, I'm going to delete this, replicate that, put it in a thing like this, and set the first one to null. Right, so that means that value is going to be set. Print log info new key star s key length key new value. I just don't want to be reading. I don't want to be reading stuff my whole life. I may want to like have a way to just specify when the end is, which I think would be a good, probably a good idea. It's just that now I need this double state thing going on, so we'll see what that does. Well, it hasn't caused any issue just yet. New key, close, new value, connection close, and yeah, so this reading seems to be working, which means I should be able to migrate this function in here. And delete this whole thing. So now the only thing that's different is key is going to be key length, super easy, and I'm not going to print. Well, I guess this is where I want to print the boundary, where I read the boundary, so that's fine. Except I don't have EOL here. So what I need to say duplicate boundary value is value. So this is the number. So it's value minus, so value plus value length minus boundary value. So I was trying to find the way and at the end and just do something. Okay. OBS, launch, run in normal mode, stop it. Headers, did you find the boundary? Boundary is correct. Well, I hope it's correct. Actually, maybe not, because it seems to be maybe too short. I mean, I'm saying I'm receive content length. Do I did I mute like the? No, I'm receiving everything here. Oh, you know why? It's like if I'm getting the double. No, actually, if I'm getting this, I should be saying false. So I think it's not switching to this state. I'm really close to the end there, unfortunately. But I like when projects take a little bit longer than anticipated. Oh, it just stops. Yeah, so okay, so there's the end, is boundary received, and I'm getting something here. Okay, that's great. Then I get content type, image JPEG, and it stops there, because I guess I'm already moving to the header stuff now. Okay, so right, now this should only give me one line return, and the problem that I have now is that I didn't really specify a great end there. So I think what I may have to do is to buffer size -1 and then adding a 0 at the end of received. I hate it, but that's what I was going to do. Buffer at received equals, you are now a C string, which means when I come here, I can literally yank all of this, but not really. All of this and paste it there. I can remove this because it's not going to give me one. I can also remove this. Okay. And then here, instead of cursor, I need to find the end of the boundary where it actually starts the thing, right? So strlen state boundary, I need to basically find that, which is going to be buffer plus 4 plus strlen state boundary. Now the problem is I think there's going to be 2 characters, so I'm going to assume this is the case. That's my initial state, and then I continuously read them, and I am going to just yank those 2 and paste them right there. And this is going to be bound and bound. The problem is that this is that, I mean, if I have a 0 at the end, then what that means is this is going to handle it properly. So it's going to stop and say, you've finished. OBS, launch anyway, normal mode. Okay, content type, image JPEG, and it still tries to go in the next one because I only stop when I find 2, right? And I should actually just do the thing where it's the end, right? It says null. The problem is that I'm not going to be able to make the difference between and null, right? So I may want to do like return a value that says why it stopped. I don't like it, but I'm going to do it. Enum read header read header red. I just don't like it, but I just want to go fast. Header. I want to go fast, so I'm going slow. Header found. Header end. Buffer end. I do that. So here I can now return an enum header red. And the thing is found is always going to be, so I kind of want to do this, paste it there, because end is going to be 0, this is going to be 1, and this is going to be 2. So that way you can just assume it's a boolean to start with. Now this actually is going to be even better. Can I put a 1 here? I'm going to have init or header init buffer and this one's going to be 3. Okay, so this is going to be header init. This is a terrible syntax because I was just working on it. This is going to be header end, and actually EOL is going to have to be if EOL. So if I can't find an end of line, then yeah, it's just caput return buffer end, and then here is going to be header found. Right, so here what I can then do is, first of all, this should not crash anymore because it's just going to gracefully stop. Yeah, except that it is stuck forever. I don't know what I did, but it just didn't like it. I do not want to do p-kill OBS because that is not going to go well. I'm going to let it run for now. So it looks like it never detected an end, yet it should. I should probably just force kill it anyways. No, I started another OBS by mistake. Alright, I've got two. Which one is which? This one has a longer runtime, so this one's definitely the one I need to keep. Kill 9 this. Okay. Okay, at least it's ended. Okay, right. So it looks like I was definitely stuck in this while loop, or maybe even the first one. I can't even tell. But the idea is that this is going to be the end for me. I'm not going to continue. That's it. That's the end. Let me read a little bit more, see if I can do something. Here, man str is probably what I need. Pointer to the beginning of the located substring, or null if the substring is not found. Okay, exactly what I expected. So in here, I'm moving my cursor forward, right? And what I'm saying there is that if I cannot find this line return, right? So yeah, I cannot find the string. The string is probably just like 1. Then I should get null, in which case I'm going to say buffer end. And buffer end is 3. That's the problem, is that I'm saying for them to just continuously continue. So in reality, found should be 0. Now found is continue, but all of the others should be something that evaluates to something that is not true, right? So that's the problem. I can't just continue and say, you know, put it in a loop that says continue forever. So what I may need to do is actually, oh, that's easy then. I can do a while is header found. Okay, and then here I can do the same thing. Right. And obviously here I'm going to have a state, and it's like, I know if this is like this is the end, then move to the next one. If this is, you know, so I can do that quite easily. Actually, I'm going to do it right here. What I'm going to have here is a enum read header ret, which is ret. It's a terrible name. I'm going to do this, and I'm going to say ret equals. I'll wrap that into a big thing, and just say, while setting ret is this. I'm going to do this, but at the end I'm going to say right, there's two situations. If ret is header end, then you want to go to state awaiting data. Otherwise you still have some stuff that's left, which is probably, and then in there I can do like this and paste, and yeah, that's fine. And then here I can say data, and I can do printf I'm going to printf %x %x line return, buffer at 0, buffer at 1, buffer at 2, buffer at 3. Now awaiting headers and awaiting boundary should go there and do this. And the problem that I'm missing is I'm missing a awaiting headers, which is going to be literally this. I should do a go to and just jump there. That'd be like even better, because I could just then sort this out. And here I'm just going to read the buffer, except that buffer is not going to be buffer plus blah 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 blah. It's just going to be just the buffer itself, right? So this is what I have. So if I reach the end, I go to awaiting data. Otherwise, I need to awaiting headers. And here is the same thing. And then otherwise, I print a bunch of stuff. Okay. Now it seems to have kind of worked, right? Because I've got, yeah, content type, image, content length, this, and then I found something, and this is the thing. So JPEG magic. FFD8 FFDB FFD8 FF E0. So that's not exactly that. Oh no, I was reading the wrong one. E0. So this is an actual JPEG, some JPEG data. And the only problem that I have there is that I need to make sure that I read exactly a certain amount. And once I read that exact certain amount, then everything will be correct. But I'm very happy where I'm at now. I didn't realize that I would have to decode these things. I don't know if I should, like, there is a boundary, and it looks like I'm just getting a bunch of data, and then at some point in here, I'm going to do it here. In here, somewhere in those buffers, I'm going to find this. Maybe even this. Right, but I'm going to find this. And I'm going to say if printf, and I'm going to like big delimiter, right? Let's try that. The idea is so I could either just read the content length and say this is exactly how many I need to read, and then after that switch back to the other state where I look for the boundary, or I could continuously read and wait for the boundary at that point. I don't know which one I want to do. So it doesn't seem like that boundary is somewhere in there. But I remember seeing something in there that said, like, I should see more content length coming in, like every time I get a new content length. So in there, I am actually missing something. I'm not reading it properly. Because like actually these are like the beginning of the frames, and this maybe is something else, right? Because if I just do this and 32 bytes of point star s, 32 bytes of the buffer, right? So I'm double doing the thing. So I'm getting this like double line return there, right? So if I read this, I'm getting 4. So this is the beginning of it, and this is what I'm getting in there. But like the one that's right before that, so that's this one that was right before that. I don't know if somewhere in there it has the boundary thing, but it doesn't seem to have it. Frontier. Let me see, because this replace one, each part invalidates. So all parts of a mix replace message have the same semantic meaning. However, each part invalidates and replaces the previous part. So I think this is where it is. It's like if there is this idea of a part and it's multi-part messages, a boundary, and boundary must know the purpose. So each part contains its own content header and a body. Multi-part content can be nested. The content transfer encoding of multi-part must be yes. Multi-part block as a whole does not have a char set. So I'm just wondering if this, the only time I get another frontier thing is when actually, instead of doing this, I could do state boundary, right? And here I can say found, right? Hello, hello, hello. You're joining right at the end. I should have finished ages ago, and I'm still going because I'm like, I want to see something, right? So we're getting some data. I'm not seeing any found anywhere. So, I mean, unless it's possible that I'm not searching properly, but it's suspicious to me. But it also makes me think that I am not getting any more boundary frontier value in those frames. So it feels like the spec is not super clear on that, but it's possible that once you get a content length, you just read exactly that and assume that what's after that is the start of another frame. I'm not going to do it right now, but it should be simple now, because what I can do is just juggle between awaiting headers and awaiting data. So when I have awaiting data in here, I should actually read the content length, have some kind of buffer allocated for that anyways, and then I read into that buffer, I accumulate the data, and once I reach the size that I'm expecting, I can then switch back to my state to awaiting headers. But once I reach the thing that I'm expecting, I can then pass the JPEG data straight to STB image. And then once I have the raw data, or at least I can tell STB image to just write the data in some kind of like pre-allocated AB buffers. So the one that's like ready to be written to, I write to it. And as soon as I finish writing to it, I swap it. And then the render function that OBS looks up to can then basically read the texture data, which will be the output of STB image, like JPEG decoding. And that should, at that point, just display the IP camera frames. And then I don't really need to sync the frame rate of either, because worst case scenario, I'm adding a latency. Like if exactly at the time where OBS wants to render, I'm like this close to getting the next frame, but I don't have it, or this close to finishing the current frame, but I don't have it, then I'll just have to wait to get the next one. So I'll get like a stale frame. But I don't think that should be too much of an issue. One thing I wanted to try, actually, I want to see quickly. Yeah, if I hide it, okay, a sec fault. Cool. When I deactivate, I'm closing the file descriptor. Right, yeah, I usually try to finish at 11 and it's past 11, so I'm going to stop here. Anyways, I'm done. I'm going to be off for a week, so nothing's going to happen until it's going to be even more than a week, because I'm not going to stream tomorrow evening. Actually, no, it's next Sunday, so not tomorrow, but next Sunday I'll be back on streaming. I may have worked on this because I want to work on it. Actually, I don't think I can, because I'm not going to take that phone where I'm going. But anyways, I can't stream anyways. So that's going to be the end of me for this short duration. Anyways, I'm going to go. See you in at least a week.